Today I wanted to bring you up to speed on what we've accomplished since our press briefing yesterday. After the press briefing, we had our organizational meeting. What occurs at the organizational meeting typically, and did last night, is we designate parties to the investigation and we form our investigative groups. Parties to the investigation are participants in the investigation that can provide factual information to us. They are not part of the analysis. They are not part of developing findings or the recommendations. They are the technical experts that can provide us with the facts. So the parties to the investigation are the U.S. Coast Guard, the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, the Santa Barbara Fire Department, and Truth Aquatics. We also formed our investigative groups. Investigative groups are smaller groups that will drill down into various aspects or specific aspects of the investigation. We have 4 investigative groups that we have formed. Those are operations, engineering, survival factors, and fire safety. Today is our first full day on scene, and it was an extremely productive day. Our investigators began interviews, and in fact, those interviews are ongoing as we have this press conference. We have interviewed today the vessel owner and operator, that's one individual, the second galley, the second captain, one of the deckhands, and the vessel's captain. I characterize those interviews as very cooperative. They are lengthy, multi-hour, detailed interviews. And again, they are continuing during this press conference. I know I'm going to get questions about the discussions or the actual interviews themselves. So I just want to tell you now, we do not disclose the contents of interviews because we don't want to contaminate the investigation or future interviews. So I'm not going to answer questions about what was discussed in those interviews at this time. If there is factual information that we can provide at the appropriate time, we will provide that. In addition, today we went to see Vision. The owner-operator, Truth Aquatics, has 3 vessels, the Conception, which was involved in this incident, and Vision, and then another vessel. Vision is a similar vessel. It's not a sister vessel. It's not the exact replica, but it is a similar vessel to Conception. And what that means is some things may be arranged differently, but it's pretty close. And I wanted to lay eyes on the vessel and just get a sense of the layout. In addition, I met with the families of the loved ones that were lost in this incident for 2 hours today. It was important for us. They're the most important people to us right now. And it was important that we provided them with the information that they need, that they get an opportunity to ask all the questions that they needed to ask, and we provide information that we could provide. Also ongoing is teams are documenting the wreckage, which is currently submerged under 60 to 65 feet of water, and it's inverted. And that documentation is occurring with side scan sonar so that they are actually mapping the wreckage before it is moved. We want as much video and digital images as we can get before that vessel is moved. And we're hopeful that that will be able to be raised soon. We understand that there are plans underway to salvage it. So going forward, we have a progress meeting tonight. We are also scheduling additional interviews for tomorrow and several days after that. Those include the first galley, the owners of the Good Samaritan vessels that were on scene, Coast Guard inspectors, first responders, other company employees, past employees, and will likely reach out to people who have contacted us on witness@ntsb.gov. In addition, we've requested a number of documents, materials, and data. We've asked for Coast Guard recordings during search and rescue. We've asked for 911 dispatch records, and this is not an exhaustive list. These are examples. Maintenance records, training records, licensing information, operations manuals if they exist, policies and procedures, information on fire protection systems, engineering systems, an inspection history of the vessel and the owner-operator, toxicology information, and drawings of the vessel. This is going to be a very lengthy, detailed, and comprehensive investigation. So I just want to remind folks that we will have a preliminary report out in 10 days, but that will include factual information. It will not include a probable cause or findings. That will come in about 12 to 18 months. In that time, if we have safety concerns, we will, and have many times in the past, issued urgent safety recommendations before a final report is issued. We do expect to have another press briefing tomorrow. Please follow us on Twitter at NTSB_newsroom. In addition, I just want to send a message to the public that the public has been fantastic in sending in information, photos, videos, information that can be very helpful in this investigation. And if I would once again encourage people to continue to do that and send that information in, excuse me, at witness@ntsb.gov. So with that, I'm going to take some questions, but here's the process. Raise your hand. You obviously are familiar. Raise your hand, state your name, and provide your affiliation, and I want to give people an opportunity to ask questions tonight. So I'm going to ask you to limit your question to one question, and I will do more if there aren't other questions being asked. So, sir.
I wanted to ask you about the idea of sprinkler systems. Some boats or ships have sprinkler systems. Are they required at all for any vessels that you're aware of?
Well, that's something, the question was, are there sprinkler systems on these vessels? Some vessels require it. And were they required for this type of vessel? That is obviously something that we will look at as part of this investigation. As to the regulatory requirements, I'm actually going to ask the captain to address that.
And I'm assuming this boat did not have it.
That we still have to verify.
Thank you. This is Captain Jason Neubauer. That I can confirm that the vessel was not required under 46 Code of Federal Regulations, Subchapter T, to have a sprinkler system installed.
Are some ships or vessels required under some?
There are some passenger vessels that are required, but this class of vessel, for small passenger vessel, was not.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes, ma'am. Oh, nitrox. Yeah, they were nitrox. The question is the question was on the dive equipment, and that is information we're still looking to receive. That'll be part of what we're looking at. Sir?
Nick Walt, CNN. Yesterday, there was some confusion as to when the last Coast Guard inspection had been carried out. Was it August 2019 or August 2018?
Okay, the captain just, when was the vessel last inspected? The captain just said he's still looking to confirm the date on that, but we'll provide that information. Ma'am.
Any more recovery today?
Your affiliate name is?
Sorry, Amy Johnson with CBS 809.
That is actually something I'm going to defer to local authorities. That's not something the NTSB does, but I believe at some point they intend to do a press briefing, and so that's something that I'll allow them to do. Yes, sir.
Mr. White, Santa Barbara News Press. Now you can't disclose the interview discussions, but what message have you shared with the families of the loved ones you met with?
The question is, what message did I share with the families of the loved ones? I mean, I think the biggest thing I wanted to get across was how sorry we are for their loss. And as I mentioned, I can't imagine what those families are going through right now. It is heartbreaking. This was a horrific tragedy. And it is clear that they are devastated, and our hearts go out to them. So I just really wanted to make sure that we communicated to them, because those families are why we are here. That's why we do the job we do. And it was important to me that their questions were answered, that they received the information before we provided any further information to others. And our process with our family assistance team, who's outstanding. We have 3 staff from the family assistance team here. They provide the resources and the information that those families need, and they will continue to have communications with those families throughout the process, all the way through when we issue our final report and have our board meeting. Sir.
Dr. McKinney from NBC4 Los Angeles. From the data you now have, is it apparent how recently the conception underwent maintenance, especially for engine or fuel systems?
The question is how recently the conception underwent maintenance, and that is actually documentation we have requested. We have not received that yet, but it is something that we have requested along with other documents. Yes. The question is on identification of the victims, and that is actually done by the medical examiner. So when the sheriff's office briefs the media, that is something that they handle and can answer those questions.
Question for the captain. Captain, my name is Carter Evans. I'm from CBS News. I'm wondering if the other ships, the sister ships, are being allowed to operate right now.
Carter, that's a fantastic question. On the ships that are currently owned and operated by Truth Aquatics, our investigation is focused on the conception. So we do not have the authority as NTSB to prevent them from operating their other vessels.
How about the Coast Guard?
Do you want to comment on that? Yep.
We're taking a close look from Coast Guard headquarters at all these operations right now. I can confirm that the company with the vessels involved is not operating at this time.
So they're not operating. Is that they're out of choice, or they're not allowed, or they've been requested not to?
I think just out of the while the investigation is ongoing on scene, they're going to halt operations, and then from a Coast Guard standpoint, we're going to take a close look at that operation and all others similar, and just analyze what we have from the initial on-scene investigation.
Take a beat here and see
Yes.
what's happening.
That's correct.
Other questions? Yes.
Mark Quinn, the LA Times. Did the crew provide some sort of, did the government take toxicology samples from the survivors?
The question is toxicology samples, and that is something that is done by the U.S. Coast Guard and the medical examiner. We are working with the medical examiner's office to obtain toxicology information, and we're waiting for those results.
Just to be clear, was it taken from the survivors?
Oh, yes, both, yes, from the survivors and the decedents.
There was one injured crew member.
Do you want to talk about it? It's your
The alcohol testing was conducted on 4 of the 5 crew members. One injured crew member was unable to be alcohol tested, and drug testing was conducted on all 5 surviving crew members. And we're awaiting those results.
Well, and let me just clarify the reason why the one was not able to be alcohol tested at that time is because that individual was being transported to the hospital during that time frame. Any other questions?
Can you show results on the alcohol testing?
They were negative. Yes. The question is, which came first, fire explosions with this vessel? And that is something we're going to be looking at. We have fire experts here. We have designated fire safety as one of our investigative groups, so that's something we are really going to take a look at, but we don't have information on that at this time. We will at some point, though.
Last question?
Hi, Angie Dahlman, NBC News. You said all the alcohol testing was negative. Have you got back the results from the drug testing?
The question was on alcohol and drug testing results. The alcohol results were all negative, the ones that were conducted, and the drug testing results are still in process. Thank you very much. Please follow us on NTSB_newsroom for the next media briefing.
Captain,